everyone. We're so glad to have you join us for this quick and exciting 100 Leaders Taster session with Ayse Birsel. Ayse is one of Fast Company's most creative people in business. She's recognized as the #1 coach in life design in the world. She gives lectures on design the life and work you love to huge corporations. Ayse is the co-founder of Birsel & Sec, the award-winning design and innovation studio, and she consults to Amazon, Colgate-Palmolive, Herman Miller, IKEA, and Toyota, to name a few. We're also joined today by the brilliant Scott Osman, who is the CEO of the Marshall Goldsmith 100, and he is going to be facilitating the conversation with Ayse today. Ayse is presenting within our 100 Leaders community next week with her timely session, Design the Leadership You Love During a Time of Crisis. And today we're going to be going over a taster of what her presentation next week will cover. So if you love what you see today, we'd love to have you join us for the full session next week, and that's on November the 11th at 9 a.m. Eastern. And you can learn more on how to join us for that at www.100leaders.live. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ayse and Scott.
Thank you, Beth. I am so excited to be here with my good friend and inspiration partner, really, Ayse Birsel. Ayse and Ayse, we met maybe 4 or 5 years ago when you were the inspiration for 100 coaches, which at that time was just 15 people. Marshall had taken your course, this work that we're talking about today, and inspired him to create 100 coaches. And now that's become 100 Leaders. And now here you are sharing your brilliance, your innovation, your ability to help unlock people in all parts of their life with our entire audience. And I also just want to say that the progression from design the life you love to design the work you love and now design the leadership you love is such an amazing experience and gift that I'm really delighted to talk to you about it today.
Scott, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. You and I talk every day through our Marshall Goldsmith daily questions. So it feels like we're having now our daily questions with our public and our friends here. Marshall is actually one of my best students when it comes to designing his life. And he came to my session around designing your life with 70 of his friends as a way to help me promote my idea. And in the moment, one of the exercises is about, I ask everyone to think about their heroes, people who inspire them in their life and work. And Marshall thought about his heroes, who are amazing people, starting with Francis Hasselbein, the former CEO of Girl Scouts, and Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, and then Buddha, of course, and realized that the commonality across all his teachers was that they taught him everything they know without asking for anything in return. And then from that, Marshall decided that that's his legacy. He wants to teach everything he knows to 15 people originally, and then he, and without asking for anything in return, except that when it's your turn, you teach everything to others the same way he's taught us. And so, and then he puts it on LinkedIn and 17,000 people reply. And that's how we grew from 15 to, I think, 25, right? And then 100. And
and now more, and now more.
And now more, and to infinity. And so, and really the idea here is, you know, that I'm an industrial designer and I design everything from the world's most comfortable toilet seats to office systems for Herman Miller to automobiles, concept automobiles for companies like Renault and Toyota, and many things in between. But that the process of design and thinking like a designer that I developed is deconstruction, reconstruction. And it really comes from my expertise as a designer in thinking about how you can deconstruct something complex into its parts, and in doing so break the links that form our preconceptions, and then from that explore different ways of looking at those same parts to think about them differently. And then reconstruction is putting it back together, knowing you can't have everything, and from that expressing that idea. And so this process of deconstruction, reconstruction is the foundation of all our work. And this is what I would like to share with everyone on next Wednesday, when I talk about design, the leadership you love, because I think this time of crisis is actually the perfect time for deconstruction, reconstruction. In a way, the crisis is deconstructing our life, our work, our organizations, whether we want it or not. So my goal is to show you how you can do it with intentionality, and kind of take this and turn this challenge into an opportunity. So you can do it in a controlled manner, right? And one of our mutual friends, Mark Thompson, who's part of MG100, talks about how he's worked with Richard Branson, the Virgin founder, and Branson's house apparently burnt down, and they had to, like, everything was gone, and they had to rebuild it from scratch. And so this leadership thought is almost like burning down the house and rebuilding from scratch. And so that's our plan for transformation, you know.
Yeah, you know, Ayse, I've taken your course. I've heard you speak probably close to a dozen
couple times.
Yeah, and every time I do, I learn something new. And I think there's a lot to be said of this process of sort of taking your life, your world, in this case, your role as a leader, and breaking it apart into pieces, and sort of laying those pieces out on the table and saying which pieces are serving me and which ones aren't serving me, what pieces am I missing, and then putting them all back together. And I think that's what your course is going to do. That's what the 100 Leaders Live Talk is going to introduce to people, is this process of reconstruction, deconstruction with regards to leadership.
Exactly. And it's really, what's interesting is that it's almost like these expanding circles, starting with you as the person, the person at the center of your life. And so as a leader, you can first design your life, and then from that go out to the next circle, which is your family. And then from the family, go to your work family, your team. And from that, go towards making that team diverse. And then from that, go to the your leadership, your organization, and then society at large. So it's kind of these radiating circles, and the common denominator across all of them is deconstruction, reconstruction as a proven design process that we use with Fortune 100 and 500 companies who are at the top of their innovation game. And so for our purposes, it's going to be about, you know, design the life you love, design the leadership you love, from that design the team you love, from that design the diversity you love, and then design the pandemic you love. How are you going to rebuild your organization so that it's an essential business in this moment? And also going to the future, because I think we're all thinking about some of the lessons that we're learning now are here to stay. And so, and from that, how could we bring, you know, value to our society, design the society you love?
What it's such a you paint such a beautiful picture of a world that we want to be in. What can people expect to get, you know, as a consequence of attending the session on the 11th? What can they hope to achieve in that session and take forward?
I think one of the key things that I want to share with everyone is that this notion of deconstruction, reconstruction is something that we're all capable of. You don't need to be a designer to be able to do it, but you need to think like a designer. So I want to give a sense of what deconstruction, reconstruction is in a way that we can all understand and see the potential for our own lives and leadership and teams. So that's one of the key elements. The other is talking about principles of design, which I think are even more important today as we are trying to solve these incredibly wicked problems. I mean, design and design thinking is one of the best creative problem-solving processes that we can hope to have. And it's all about how can we go from what we know today to what we can create for the future that's going to be an improvement. And so it's really about the principles of empathy, for example. You know, one of the things that one of our mutual friends, Martin Lindstrom, who's also part of 100 Leaders, was talking about is that with COVID and all of us sheltering in place and wearing masks and not hugging each other, this notion of empathy that is really our natural way of building trust for each other and understanding for each other is disappearing. He said, I think it has dropped, our capability to have empathy for each other has dropped 50%. So design inherently has tools to help people build empathy. And so that's one of the things I also want to talk about is how can you use these tools to co-design with your family, to co-design with your team, to co-design with your organization, so that as a leader, you are building a sense of empathy across everyone and where people feel included and different points of views can come together to create harmony. And as one of our other friends, Oshoke Abalu would say, to create a symphony. And so empathy is one of the key ways of doing that, as well as some of the other principles of like being able to think holistically, seeing the big picture so that you can connect the dots in new and different ways. And as you do that, you know, switch out the dots that are not adding value at this time to you and bringing in new dots that are essential, that will move you towards being an organization, a company that's needed. Having an open mind, you know, is knowing that solutions could come from many different places, and sometimes they come from the worst places. You know, I have a whole tool around wrong thinking to teach people how to break their preconceptions around ideas by thinking the worst ideas first before they can switch them or transform them into the great ideas. So these are the things that I want to at least give a taste to people, and then you know, create a sense of, hey, you have some of these tools, they're accessible.
And my experience of it is even in the workshop itself, even in the speech itself, people are going to be able to identify some of their more important priorities, the things that are the real drivers for what they're looking to do as a leader. They're going to develop some tools and how to apply those priorities through the work that you're going to give them. And as you say, develop a little bit more empathy and just a little bit more understanding of other people, which, as we all know, you know, understanding people and understanding how to inspire people is what a leader is all about, what leadership is all about. And I find from my experience and the experience of the people that I talk to, these are the great takeaways from your workshop. So I'm certainly looking forward to being there.
I'm excited, and I also want to show people that, you know, deconstruction and reconstruction is happening all around us. And one of the examples I'm going to use is the restaurant business, how COVID has completely deconstructed the restaurant business as we know it, and how they're responding to reconstructing it and creating more than one viable model. And then from that, it'll be easy for everybody to think about, I can see how that happened in restaurant business. I can see how I can do this for my organization, for my leadership.
It's funny, as I listen to you say this, part of what I'm hearing is the pandemic is helping do the deconstruction for us. We almost have no choice. And to sort of take a little bit of control over the deconstruction process allows us to be a little bit smarter about how we reconstruct it, a little bit more intentional, perhaps.
Exactly. It's leadership in crisis is a moment of forced deconstruction. So my whole goal is to turn it around from forced deconstruction to something that you do with intentionality, and turn the challenge into your opportunity for growth. So.
Well, great. Ayse, I'm really looking forward to being there with you and to hearing the inspiration of Design the Leadership You Love. Next November 11th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Ayse. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you both so much. Such an insightful conversation and a brilliant taster for what's to come next week. So if you have kind of enjoyed what we've been listening to just now, please do join us for Ayse's webinar next week, and you can learn more about it by visiting www.100leaders.live. As well as Ayse's live session next week, you would also be able to access 2 additional monthly sessions from the amazing thought leaders within the MG100, as well as be a part of a supportive and engaged network of hundreds of leaders from all over the world. So that's all from us today. Thank you so much, Scott and Ayse. Really fantastic conversation, and I, for one, can't wait for the session next week. So we hope everyone has a lovely rest of your day, and bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Beth. Thanks, Ayse.
Bye.
And thank you all.